Welcome, listeners. Another week of journey. We're going to journey through the realms of testosterone today.
Yes.
It's a fun thing to talk about because we've just been trialing a new formula you are putting together for a new product we're bringing out through Beta, a men's libido, but ultimately it's just a natural testosterone enhancer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the one.
And so we've been trialing it out for the last probably like 4 weeks, man.
Yep,
I would say about that, and just feeling really good, really grounded. And so it drew us to the theme of to talk about it today, just the aspects of the shifts and changes, and there's been like some revelatory kind of feelings for you as well, just of like focusing on it, getting that balance right within yourself or ourselves, and just how like much better that we're feeling.
Totally, man. And it's a fun aspect of Beta, realistically, is the product development aspect, because it's fun to just understand all these different herbs and the molecules and the interactions that are going on in the body, and then to explore them and like feel the difference and the benefits and like the impact that it's having on like life and motivation, relationships, energy, the way in which my body feels, the strength at the gym. It's fucking dope. It's one of those things you don't realize how big of an impact it's actually going to make until you start to get like your levels right. Yeah, because you don't really know. We're both healthy guys. We look after ourselves. In no way were our testosterone levels low, but to then just like feel this natural boost, it's dope.
What do you think's been the biggest shift and change, or like feeling through the last 4 weeks that brought you to want to even talk about it?
Yeah, so there's positive aspects for sure. Like on the physical realm, I like definitely feel more strong within myself and in my body, and even like watching my body composition change. Because I've always had a really good workout routine, but to like finally see some like significant difference in like building muscle mass, that's probably been like one of the physical changes. Energy levels, things like that haven't really shifted much, but in my mindset I definitely feel more grounded. I feel less, I wouldn't say fear, but there's not the aversion to strive or to move away from conflict.
Yeah,
it's really interesting to just be like grounded in your masculine and be like, no, I know, and this is what I believe. It's an interesting one. So it's caused some conflict, definitely.
Yeah, it definitely has. Well, it just bubbled to the surface, the things that were kind of sitting there.
Yeah, totally.
And because the thing with the last 4 weeks, I've spoken about it on the podcast before, years and years ago in my mid-20s, I was taking steroids and obviously taking testosterone and things like that purely for a bodybuilding aspect side of it. And I've always known how much of a nootropic testosterone is. It's when I was on, taking those androgen steroids, like I got shit done. You just go and speak to people. You have this fearlessness in you. You just kind of take action. You roll things. I was waking up at 5 a.m. I was doing PT clients 15 sessions a day, training twice a day, still getting some half decent sleep. Like my I was making sure my diet was on point. I'm not here advocating for steroids at all, but what I'm trying to say is the noticeable difference in me as a man is when you're focusing on getting your testosterone right, like getting that hormone right.
Yep.
You feel so much more grounded. You just feel so much more superhero like.
Totally. It's like you've increased the horsepower in your engine.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's like you've gone from 200 horsepower to like 600.
Yeah.
And it's like you can sort of maintain that energy without it like being like this like sporadic energy. It's just like this grounded force.
Yeah, grounded force is good. And to run with that metaphor then, it's like if you've got a V8, and you've got 500 horsepower in it now, you're not using it all the time, but know it's there. Yeah, totally. You know you can use it.
For sure. And you got that grunt.
And you've got the grunt. You
the
can
purr of the engine.
You can shoot past things quick, and you can get back into your own lane again very fast. You're not having to put your foot down to try and get up the hill, and you're just trying to get there, and you're screaming.
Yeah, totally.
And so it's a good metaphor to use. And it's quite interesting, even just talking about it as itself. It feels like a bit of a taboo, isn't it? Like in this day and age, to really be like advocating, going, "Hey guys, let's get our testosterone right. Let's boost that. Let's get ourselves to feel more whole and grounded." Because I think it's been vilified quite a lot over the last, definitely, kind of 10, 20 years of, toxic masculinity. It's linked in with all of that stuff.
Deemed
all
to
of that
be this negative thing.
It's a negative thing, but yet it's just it's our powerhouse as men, as our hormone for our driver aspect for wholeness, for action, for groundedness, for calm, for creation. Because our creation is different than an estrogen flow. It's totally. Our creation, and this is again speaking for personal experience, is okay on the doing, on the creating the business, on the creating the relationship, on creating life. And it's like taking the steps forward, and that's the driver house. It's the testosterone hormone. And if you've ever met anyone who has lack of it, or they don't, it's not a priority in their life, they're very meek men. And a meek man is a very volatile man. He's a very unsafe. There's unsafety to it, because you can go from 0 to 100, and it's like, it's not a capacity to handle it. And I think what was cool, we had a conversation the other day, just on your own noticing of it. It's kind of the first time that you've gone, all right, I'm going to, really focus a bit on my own hormone, my testosterone. And then, as we're talking about, we're in a bit of conflict, a week or two ago, just with some things we were kind of squaring up, and it didn't even click into my mind of like, oh, we've been like 2 or 3 weeks on this, but we handled it really well. It was very calm. It was very, it was a good little
we're like shying away from the fight sort of
thing,
but
exactly right.
Not in like a negative, like passive aggressive way. It was like, no, like there's conflict, so let's like be in the conflict,
be in it, but feeling safe in yourself to be able to go, no, I'm going to feel a little bit of frustration and anger, but I'm not going to fucking go to that 100 point where I'm going to do something stupid, or say something stupid, or act out childishly.
For sure.
And I think that's where and why this deserves a fucking podcast on it, and it deserves more conversation on it, because I feel like the world now, in lots of different aspects, are not helping men to, have a regulated testosterone hormonal endocrine system.
Yeah, totally. And it can come from so many different aspects. So there's like the psychological aspect of it, where there's this big push for feminine empowerment, and like even the demasculating of the masculine, and like the taking away of that power and energy, which in some cases can be rightly so, where that balance has swung too much, and there has been a lot of like impact on the feminine, especially in the 60s, and like now we're rolling through that now, so you can see that and understand that from that perspective. But the pendulum has swung too far, where it's like, okay, no, let's actually demasculate men to empower women. So it comes from that perspective, where it's like that masculine men, there's like a fear in that, simply because of the toxicity of some men in the past, and the aspect from that.
Well, they've utilized power or force as power.
Yeah. Well, they've utilized this is a concept that me and Van were actually listening to and have been like exploring lately. The aspect of containment. They've confused containment with control. So containment is the aspect of like holding the force, holding the container, holding a space for the feminine to be able to be the feminine. Whereas control is that more toxic aspect, where it's like, no, I'm going to control, manipulate, and suppress you so that I can be more powerful.
Yeah, because you're physically stronger. You've got the ability to hold things down.
Totally.
Like hold someone down. Like in a physical realm, or even with a higher energy of anger or rage. Punching walls, all that nasty shit that has been tacked on to masculinity in a negative form. Ultimately, what we're talking about here is the lack or potential lack of testosterone in there, because it's been lumped into that wash with all of it.
Totally.
Our food is not doing any favors as well. There's lots of different nasty chemicals in a lot of our food,
Plastics,
our water,
BPAs.
plastics, all of the different addictions that we have, even down to like social media scrolling and things like that, and what are the algorithms now feeding into our thoughts and our mind, and all of that, and
stress as well. Stress plays a huge part in it, because when it comes to androgens, which are like our sex hormones, and our stress hormones, cortisol, and adrenaline, that they're on a seesaw. So if our cortisol levels are high, our androgen levels are going to be low, because they both have the exact same precursors. So it's like, unless you have that balanced, your testosterone isn't the primary. Like cortisol and adrenaline actually is. So the body will naturally make that first, and then just naturally deplete testosterone levels. So it's like, we live in such a stressed out, like high-paced world these days, where everything needs to get done so quickly. There's like, as you say, the addiction to dopamine, and even the addiction to stress. Like we're addicted to that like driving force, but in a negative way.
Even the uprising of the carnivore diet and things like that, I think it's swinging back the other way, and I just don't want it to swing back too far the other way, like it has been. But humans are humans, right? I guess. So
people love to be dogmatic, especially when it comes to nutrition. The more we can keep the masses confused and thinking about what they should eat, the more money a lot of people make.
It does come down to the money as well.
Totally.
But let's go back to what we've been supplementing, actually. So your new formula that you put together, man, it's beautiful. There's so many different things. Like, why don't you walk us through kind of what we've been taking, what you put together?
Yeah, so I will read from a piece of paper from my phone, just so that I can sort of get the understanding and the interactions right. So essentially, we're looking at like those two aspects. There's ashwagandha in there, which helps lower imbalanced cortisol levels out, because that obviously, if we're not focusing on that aspect and we're still trying to drive and move forward, then taking all these other things are just going to counteract that as well.
And ashwagandha works more on your adrenal system as well. Am I correct? Right? Yeah. So that's kind of more that leveling out anxiety, helping you, just basically helping your adrenals flow a little easier, right? So you can have a little bit more space to breathe. You're not reacting so hard.
It's an adaptogen. So adaptogens help us to adapt, like help us to rest, or to recover our stress response. So if they're low, it helps support it and getting it balanced. If they're too high, it helps bring them down.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so ashwagandha's in there. Then we have one called Tribelius. So Tribelius helps to support our metabolic health. It actually helps with ED and sexual dysfunctions as well. And that is through a specific interaction with something called, I'm terrible at these Latin names, prostadisol. So what that does is it helps to balance those levels out, so that then the body can actually have the interaction to create testosterone. Then there's one called horny goat weed. So it works on that similar mechanism, but it's like slightly longer lasting.
And this is old school. This has been used around for millennia.
Yeah, all of these are Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine herbs. So you may not have heard of them before, but they're been used for thousands of years in traditional Chinese medicine to support men's testosterone levels and metabolic health. Another one's Tonka Ali. So that has a specific precursor in it that's needed for testosterone. So it's like that's just actually bringing the levels up and keeping them up. Then we've got one called oat. So oat's more about like increasing circulation, so really good for helping with like erections and erectile dysfunction. And then there's maca. So maca has like 7 or 8 different chemicals in there that have been shown to help with metabolic health, and been shown to help with increasing libido and like sex drive in men. And so they use that a lot in South America and Peru. Like it's one of their superfoods essentially. They eat it nearly every single day. Increases vitality, energy. So that's essentially the stack we're going for.
Beautiful combination.
And you feel it, man. You feel it even in that first 3 days. you feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it. Your sex drive is through the roof. Your your desire for like sexual interactions is just like there, but not like this like need.
Yeah, you're not a rabid fucking foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, totally. You're just like
dog, you know.
I just want to grab things.
Yeah,
it's great. It's great.
I was having me and Shawi caught up for a few days over the weekend, and our first sexual encounter together. It was it was strong, it was deep, it was powerful, it wasn't hard, it was long lasting, it was deep thrusting, and even like at the end she was like, wow, I can tell you're on on your new trial formula. Hell yeah, I am. It was a beautiful thing. But even just in that aspect of in the relating aspect, like it just, I found that our conversations were flowing easier. I found that when we were driving in the car the other day back down to where she lives, it's a 3-hour drive, and I just brought up a couple of things that weren't really uncomfortable, but they were just things that in a conscious relationship to be brought out. And we both, we've got this vow to each other to bring the things out in each other that we see that might not be the nicest things to bring out, or things you need to see about yourself, and you're like, that fucking sucks. And I brought up something that I'd noticed just in a patterning of the way that she was talking about and different things, and just held her hand in it, and just basically held her in it, and I just kept checking on myself, and there was no like wincing, there was no like oh god, if I don't I'm like, I'm just gonna do this, and all the way through I just said, hey look, this is not a critique, this is not something I'm need you to change about yourself, but here is just an observation that if you want to do something with it, you can. And it started to unlock a few other things in her, and we just kind of held space in that for it to move through or feel through, and then move the other side. But the reason I go into that story is because that non-wincing, it's probably the best way to put it. It was just, I just felt solid. Totally. It was great. There was no part of me was like, I got to get out of here. I don't. I've done this. I'm done. Like, nah. I just was like, I was great. Yeah. It was good. I held it in there. Yeah. I felt strong in it.
That's really true. Like feeling strong in it, and like same. Honestly, exactly the same in mine and Van's relationship in the last 4 weeks. Like, just noticing that, like that ability to hold her. In like a deeper, stronger, more grounded way is like, that's it. And we've held her in a lot, like she's working with a new psychologist, and it's like bringing up a lot of things for her at the moment, in like a completely different and new way that she's sort of ever explored it, and just watching her feel more secure, like in the relationship and actually sharing, and it's, I don't feel like I've changed anything.
No.
But I feel like there's a change.
The energy's stronger.
The energy's stronger.
It is.
For sure. And she just feels more, like I can assume, even from the conversations we've had, she just feels more safe to drop a little deeper into her feminine.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely the energetics are there.
Yeah.
And that was really nice to feel that.
Yeah.
And
beautiful.
It's like, we're just taking some natural supplements here, and and as you said earlier, we're both training every day, most days, resistance training, we're doing everything in the physical realm to keep our testosterone, but obviously as men from the age of 30 it starts to decline. Totally. It declines fast, and especially in this day and age where like fast food and all these nasty things and shitty chemicals that are working against our natural rate of our through our endocrine system, working against it. But this is why it excites me to do what we do, because we just get to be mad professors. Well, you get to be a mad professor, and I just get to be the guinea pig.
It's great. Let's triple the dose and see what happens.
Oh, man. And usually a part of me was like, oh, yeah, let's just do it. I'm like, nah, it's a consistent thing. This is the consistent thing. It builds up. You're not going to try and peak it and drop it. And this has become a daily thing. So it's been really nice to feel that. And I think it's so prevalent to be bringing these types of subjects up in this day and age. And I think even with like the election that was going through in America in the last week or so, and you can really see the divide with people, and you can see people in their physical attributes, and you can see a lot of the men who are really and this is not a pull down, but it's you can just see where their belief systems and their structures have come, and they feel like they're fighting the right fight, and you 100% are, but just in the wrong way. You can't stand up for women's rights and immigrants' rights and all that sort of stuff by ultimately becoming a woman. It's not going to happen. There needs to be that polarity there. It needs to be held in the poles of the masculine and the feminine, and that can flow between the two as well. And so with this huge degeneration in testosterone in men, and it's been talked about by a lot of different professors and a lot of different academics that have done major studies on it, and all of the different things that are really hindering that ecosystem within us as men in this day and age. The balance is falling off, and then if you are standing more in your testosterone, or you're standing more in your masculine, or you're just driving to become the best version of the man that you can be now, it's seen as the enemy, and it shouldn't be seen as the enemy. It should be celebrated. It should be going, hey, there's a healthy way to do this, and there's a really, really there's lots of different things we can do, and we've got to work harder at it now than we ever had to. We really, really do.
Yeah, totally. And without that compound, even if you are trying to hold your partner in a masculine way, you'll more often than not still hold them in a feminine way, but in the masculine, because that compound, it is the masculine. It creates so many it's the defining thing that decides whether or not a male is a male or a female, because when you're in utero, there's 2 drops of testosterone that happen within the first 6 weeks, and that essentially defines whether it's going to be a male or female. If it happens once, then it's going to be a female. If it happens twice, then it's going to be a male. So that's how impactful it is on the masculine. So if we're not looking after balancing our testosterone levels, which, as you say, naturally decrease after 30, and because of fast foods, BPAs, all the toxins that we put in our body, all the chemicals, the pesticides that are in our food, it's like those are declining faster than they're increasing. So there's some people project that by 2050, men's testosterone levels will be 10% of what they were 100 years ago. And even in the last 100 years, they've decreased by 50%.
Yeah, and that's a really scary stat as well, is one of the largest erectile dysfunction age groups for men is 15 to 20.
Crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. And that's when you're going through puberty. That's when you're being it should naturally, through nature, be at its highest peak at that age range. And that's coming down to the overconsumption of porn. That's coming down to all these things we've just spoken about. But I mean, those stats need to be really looked at, and that's why men's suicide is the highest it's ever been, and it's
interesting to look at that correlation.
It's ridiculous.
It's interesting to look at that correlation of what the levels potentially would be. You can see it. It's like, as you say, it's also a nootropic. It's also going to support your mental health, because you feel stronger physically within your body and yourself. You have more drive, you have more push, you have more purpose in life. Interesting thing to explore.
I had a conversation with my dad probably about 6 months ago, because he's 62 now, 62, and I'm really enjoying the upswing of seeing the hormone replacement therapy, HRT, coming out, and you got guys like Rogan and all these other guys that are talking about it, because they're in that later range in life, and they're starting to, it's not taking steroids, it's on a medical controlled basis through blood testing to bring your testosterone levels up to about a 35-year-old, 30 to 35-year-old, like a normal 30, 35-year-old, and you just, I was like, man, this will become your new elixir of life. I can just see him start to just not crumble, but I can just see him start to diminish a bit more, and then his mental health is starting to decline, and I can just see the chaos of his life just starting to engulf him, and I'm like, man, I'm starting to really have quite vulnerable conversation with him, and he finds it very difficult to drop into it with me, but I'm like, man, let's just practice, let's just practice.
We can give him a stack and see what happens.
I'm definitely wanting to give him a stack and see what happens, but yeah, like, it's nice to see the incline of the HRT. I mean, that's not I'm not saying that's the answer, but at least there's something there where, science, the medical realm has come together, and you can work together on that and actually start to balance it out through data.
Totally.
And start to really go, hey, you can feel amazing.
Totally.
There it is right there,
sure.
And work on that.
And it'd be one of those things that it's like, if your levels are so depleted, you're not going to have motivation to do all of the things that naturally increase it or sustain it or slow down the decline. Because I think that's the thing. It's like, doing all those natural things don't necessarily increase it, especially if you're doing them all the time, but they naturally slow down the natural decline of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, resistance training, making sure that you're eating a balanced diet, making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure you're balancing your stress levels, like all of the baseline
alcohol intake's
down, making sure you're getting enough vitamin D, because that's a precursor to testosterone as well. If you're not doing all of those things, then it's going to plummet quite quickly. Then you're just not going to have the motivation to do all of those things.
It becomes far harder to drag yourself off the couch.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then you're just creating a shame spiral, going, oh, I'm not doing this, I'm not where I used to be. And of course, us as humans, we're going to compare ourselves to others. It's fucking, you scroll for half an hour and you've got all these comparisons that are going on of everyone else only showing the best bits of their life.
Totally.
So you're like, fuck, I'm a piece of shit.
Goddamn piece of shit.
But it's a big job, and as I say, we definitely need to be looking at it a lot more carefully, a lot more diligently.
Sure.
I'm really enthused by RFK Jr., who's come on board there. He's saying some big things about really starting to hit that Monsanto, that FDA, the chemicals that they have in there, because as much as we like it or not, America is the cultural standpoint of the rest of the world. It's why everyone watches their fucking elections.
We're a little America as well.
The rest, the western parts of the Western worlds are now, because we've been influenced by cultural movies from them for so many years. It's ingrained. It's where the cultures come from. So to have someone like that to really start to buck the trend, I mean, you see him, he's in his 60s, he's jacked.
He's jacked.
Totally. It's like, that's someone who you want to be, in the aspects of...
You want him to be your health advocate.
Oh, yes.
You look at the ones that used to be there, and the ones from overseas, and even the ones in New Zealand, and those motherfuckers don't know much about health.
No.
They ain't looking after themselves.
No. So it's really nice to see... if he had a lack of testosterone, I'm sure he wouldn't be able to stand up there and really fucking give it the 1-2. Yeah, exactly. 100%. But it's going to be nice to see him follow through on, I mean, he's got a big job to go against billions and billions and billions of dollars, but he's put himself into the position to be able to do that, and to see what flow-on effects actually come from that. I'm really interested for it, and obviously we're aiming to be in America just over a year's time to take beta over there and take our supplements and things like that, and to get amongst the epicenter of a lot of this stuff. So I guess I'm trying to get to is it's good. I'm interested to see where the messaging comes from after this,
totally,
and see what happens with this, because it's got to take. There has to be a huge shift and change, and there has to be you can feel the death come on, and you can feel the rebirth come on at the same time. Totally. There's a new earth coming. I read something the other day. Who wrote it? It was like we are in the downfall of Rome, and we are on the upswing of the new earth at the same time.
Yeah,
at the very same time.
Love that.
And it is so true.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's however you put your glasses on of what you want to see. You want to see it just all going to shit and turning chaotic and all of it, or that's what you will see, and you'll flow down there. If you want to see the good and know that there are amazing people, and most people are logical, and most people want the best for themselves and others. and then that's what you will see as well. So, yeah, it's fun times, man. It's interesting times. It's a trip to be alive in this day and age, isn't it?
Totally, yeah, for sure. The speed in which change is happening is a powerful thing to watch.
Because do you even think, man, even 5 years ago, do you think we would actually, maybe 5, maybe let's call it 10. Do you think even 10 years ago this would have been even a thought on our mind to talk about on a podcast?
Not at all. Never. No. 10 years ago, I was a meek man, sitting home meditating.
Yeah, but even just as an observation overall, it's like oh yeah, it's happening, but it's not happening, and it's just now it's like holy fuck.
It evolves very quickly. Time's moving so fast, and the way in which we're evolving is happening like exponentially. Yeah, and I don't think you realize and grasp it until you, as you say, truly reflect upon it. Truly reflect upon it.
I'll tell you one of the best things that I am still, thank God, every day is really knocking alcohol out of my life. Like years ago.
Yeah.
We still enjoy a whiskey here and there, and that's fine. But it's but that habit of drinking alcohol in daily life and going out, and that's the thing you did to go out. Honestly, like I can go through seasons of not really training a lot, or if we're busy it becomes a bit of it becomes a bit lower on the hierarchical level of life, but I don't blow out.
No.
And if we're on the road for a few weeks, yeah, we eat generally pretty good, but there's we'll stop by a servo and we'll just do the best thing there and say, oh, chicken nuggets. All right, we'll just eat a bunch of chicken nuggets. Or chicken tenders
as well.
Yeah, little fruit bowls. So, I mean, we're not out running through McDonald's drive-thrus or anything like that, but even just in myself, and at the age I am, I'm 37 now. I'm only a few years away from 40. I mean, there's every aspect of me that I reckon if alcohol was still so prolific in my life
you
that
have a pot belly.
Oh, big time, man.
You flame through the wazoo.
Big time.
But so would I.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people around me that still do drink, that do have those physiques, and I'm like, I could never do it. I couldn't allow myself to be that way, and if it means not drinking, then I'm totally fine with that. Fine with that. I can have a few beers here and there, but there's no desire to get drunk.
No, none.
No desire to get drunk, because I work so hard. I've built a nootropics company so that my brain can be switched on. Yeah. And even after one or two beers, I feel like my brain just switches off, and I'm like, I don't like it.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. It slows down my processing speed.
I was laughing the other day because when we go to expos, lots of alcohol companies, and a lot of people hey, try this, and I was looking at the cabinet above my microwave, and it was just stacked full of fucking booze. I'm like, I'm never going to touch this stuff. Hey, if anyone comes around, but then I'm like, actually none of my friends drink either. I was always like, oh, if someone comes around, they want to drink, they can have one. And I'm like, actually, I don't. I mean, we had your birthday the other night, man. We had 2 whiskeys, and I was like, oh man, that's enough.
Off with the cava.
Yeah.
So much nicer.
So if you get an alcohol gift from me if you get a gift from me at Christmas time, it might be alcohol.
Who knows? Nah, beautiful, brother. It's an interesting molecule to have a greater appreciation of.
Get you jacked on some testosterone, you really feel it.
Oh no, no shit.
You won't want to come off.
No, totally. That's the danger. But hey, look, we've created a product where we don't need to. Realistically, we're bringing them levels up naturally, and it's going to be dope to bring this out early next year. It'll be real dope.
And we're doing a female one as well, not a female testosterone, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to bring out a female libido as well, because that is just as important to get their hormones balanced. Yeah. It's important to get everybody's hormones balanced. Everyone's got the endocrine system.
It's to be honest, it's probably even more important. This is an analogy I always use. Men are like utes and women are like Formula 1 race cars. A man's just going to go until the engine explodes, which is like a heart attack, stroke, or cancer. Whereas women, more often than not, is say like a Formula 1 race car, one little screw can be undone, and performance decreases drastically. And they have a 30-day cycle that always reminds them of where they're at and where their body's at. Yeah. So
we're coming for you. We're coming to help you. We're coming to help the world.
I know. It's so much fun.
It is. It's magic, man. What else are we bringing out? What else we got coming out? Oh, we're doing a new nootropic hydration as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. It is a
So
fun.
we're trialing that this morning with a few flavors. Keep the body nice and moist.
Yeah, keep it nice and hydrated.
Hydrated.
Make sure that energy productions and cellular respiration and all them fancy words are working. Those words that no one knows anything about, but hey, we'll educate you on it.
And we're bringing out sleep and focus and immunity in capsules as well. Coming out soon to a store near you. Fuck, all the things, man. We had a dope meeting this morning too. It was fun. It's good growth happening.
Great growth happening.
Yeah.
So it's coming, people. The train keeps moving forward, and now we just got a little bit more grounded masculine energy to keep it going, bruv.
We are, man. I've got to get some top ups today.
There you go.
Run out of one of them, so we'll get some top ups.
Get some top ups.
Move it through. It's a business expense.
It is totally R&D.
R&D. Hey team, we love you guys for listening. Thank you so much. We're coming up to episode 100 soon.
Very close.
I think we'll do something fun for that.
Yeah, totally.
I think we'll plan that.
It'll be before the end of this year, won't it? Maybe
What are we
right
like,
at the end of the year.
93? Maybe it might be the start of next year,
Yeah.
depending. Because what are we now? November. We generally stop.
Totally, we normally have a little bit of a break.
A bit of a break.
Hey, episode 100 could be the first episode of 2025.
Could be. Yeah, I think it'll be kind of around that round. But we'll do something fun for it anyways. Yeah. So if you've listened along to our ramblings for a lot of the time, we love you. So thank you so much. Give it a share.
Give it a share, peeps. And remember, we do have our retreat coming up in February. A fourth of the tickets have already been sold, and we already in talks with a lot of other people. So if you are interested in a weekend away to learn a little bit more about yourself, to breathe, to learn more about your form of communication and authenticity and all the beautiful things, then hit us up, come along. Download the info pack, which is on our website and in the links below, and we'll see y'all there.
Yeah, 21st to the 23rd of Feb 2025 here in Auckland in New Zealand. Come along.
Come along.
All right, team. Same bat time, same bat channel next week.
Love y'all.